Welcome to Hartford, Wisconsin, where we're just 48 hours and 38 nautical miles from the world's largest aviation celebration. Hartford, legendary in its own right, it's tail-dragger paradise in the middle of the Wisconsin corn and home to the torchbearers that keep the iconic Piper Cubs community together and in the sky. Seemingly immune to the sands of time, this airport and its squadron of J3 Cubs stand testament to aviation history and all those that have dared to dream and cast their gaze skyward. Let's take a look at the airfield. Hartford Municipal Airport, that's Hotel X-Ray Foxtrot, sits at 1,070 feet above sea level and is home to 2 runways. Our race course on runway 1836 is 2,231 feet of turf in excellent condition. It's the perfect place for National STOL to come and play. But don't let that welcoming grass fool you. With more rookies attending this competition than any other event in the circuit, Sodbusters has a history of nose-overs and heartbreak. Some absolute legends of bush flying and STOL aviation flying into Hartford today, and with that, some heated competition. In the touring class, reigning champion Brandon Korn continues to fight off the advance from John McCardle in the season standings. In backcountry, it's Jeff Pohl's return to the circuit in Dirty Bird versus Jerry Clemens' reversible pitch propeller and Scott Sweet's Scout. Adventure classes Brian Steck and Colin Kneva will be using their legend aircraft MOACs to halt the relentless gallop of Jeff Daly's Badlands Traveler Warhorse. Sport class is thick with competitors this weekend. Pat McIntyre and Joel Milloway's Rans S7s aim to survive the horde of Kit Foxes and Carbon Cubs looking to knock them off the podium. And lastly, the Unlimited class. Steve Henry and Yeehaw 8 continue their return to National STOL to fight back the frigid assault from the north by Canadians Dan Reynolds and Jason Boussat. It's time for engine start here in Hartford, Wisconsin. The line is painted, the pattern is clear, we're cleared for takeoff, and it's time for National STOL's Sodbusters 2024. Welcome back to Hartford, Wisconsin. We're in the middle of Sodbusters 2024. Just wrapped up the adventure class, and we're moving on to the sport class. We've got a real deep sport class. It's so thick with competitors. Let's look at the lineup right now. Starting us off, we've got Gary Varga in the 2012 World Aircraft Vision. Matt Dorsum will be flying in a Kit Fox 4. Dakota Hudak, Kit Fox 4. TJ Johnson in a Kit Fox Model 5. Levi Nogues in the Storch. Nick Ardillo in a Cub Crafters SS. And then after them, you'll have Stan Shimkus in a 2016 Carbon Cub. Kirk Miles in a 2007 Cub Crafters. Christian Griwan in a 2021 Just Aircraft Super STOL. Brandon Rice in a Rans S7. Dennis Rowe coming out in the Just Highlander, that one powered by a Yamaha motor. Jared Garrettson flying a unique airplane this time. He's always into the unique airplanes. This one, a 2004 Just Summit. And
looking forward to this class.
And then we have even more after that. We've got Lee Boyd in a Carbon Cub, Joel Milloway in an S7, and Pat McIntyre also in a Rans S7. So you've got 15 competitors in the sport class here at Sodbusters. We got to divide them into 3 heats. Everyone give it up for Gary Varga. He's from Burlington, Wisconsin, flying that 2012 World Aircraft Company Miss America Sentinel Vision, race number 69, Gary Varga. From Lancaster, Kansas, in race number 95, a 1995 Kit Fox 4, it's Matt Dorsum.
Love the traditional, the old school, as some would say, round cowling on his Kit Fox Model 4. A lot of the pilots have gone to the new square cowling, which we'll see here in a moment. But that is a beautiful model, Kit Fox Model 4.
From Floodwood, Minnesota, in a 2007 Kit Fox Model 4, race 120, Dakota Hudak. From Franklin, Michigan, in another white Kit Fox, This one's a 2021 Kit Fox 5. It's race 58. TJ Johnson from Belton, Texas. In a 2007, it says Slepchev Storch. He also calls it a Fiesler Storch. It's a scaled-down version of the Storch from World War II. In race 55, Levi Nogues.
Levi is such a fun character to follow on social media. You can find him on his website, flywithlevi.com. In the Storch, having a great time. It's Levi Nogues.
That you could potentially see someone from any of the heats bring down the podium.
Yesterday, it was completely opposite of what we expected, so I'm throwing all of my expectations out the window, and I'm just going to wait and see and enjoy what happens here today.
Gary Varga ready to go with the green flag.
You'll notice Miss America pretty consistent, right at about 200 feet there. Perfect takeoff there from Gary Varga. Yep, we'll listen to that Yamaha Apex motor. Quite a bit different sound than the Rotax. Absolute fantastic takeoff performance, coming in somewhere about 130, 135 feet. Beautiful takeoff. Matt Dorsum will be happy with that one. Here we go. He's on the takeoff row. Now Dakota's going to put in some coals here. Watch that tail come up. Good rotation. Not very aggressive on the rotation. This will be fun. This one's very, very closely matched to all these Kit Foxes.
Rotax 912 power, purring away.
A little bit more horsepower, but sometimes with that extra horsepower adds a little bit more weight on that nose, which causes those takeoffs to be a little bit longer. Different takeoffs. You'll notice that landing gear comes and extends about an entire foot as he takes off.
Already flying, but the wheels are still on the ground.
And this is the challenge right here, the landing. Very, very high degree of complexity. As you can see here, coming in quite conservatively, giving up about, I don't know, Ryan, about 100 feet there or so.
Maybe 100, almost 125 feet given up there by Gary Varga, but good over the line. Arguably the best kind. Here comes Matt Dorsum over the line. Again, giving up a lot, bouncing along in that Kit Fox.
So beautiful, that airplane, though. You know, I'm a big fan of that, the paint scheme and the classic round killing. I just love watching him fly. That was kind of fun to watch. That's what you'd kind of see, happening on a sandbar with all the, the whoops and the waves that, some of those sandbars have, created by Mother Nature. So it's normal to see the Bush pilots bring it in and bounce them home.
So these aircraft, though, lighter than what you've seen thus far. They're very light. And so we have the swirling winds.
Yeah,
these diving in there.
Yeah,
planting those main gear.
So he knows that the best way to get him stopped is to get on the brakes. Looks like he's taking a little bow or something there. Little victory lap.
Issued a warning there for that kind of pirouetted landing. We measure from the furthest tire away from the line in that case. Burst of power, engine off. No more thrust coming out of that thing, and we're stopped.
Here comes Levi. Watch his approach in that Storch. Just a very distinctive aircraft, Ryan. Just a beautiful, different approach.
Here's Levi now compressing, and just watch it squat down. It has so much gear travel. And let's look at the scores right now. Levi Nogues, currently your leader in sport class with a combined score of 291. Gary Varga back in 5th place with a combined score of 481. So a big spread between 1st and 5th place right now in the first heat of sport class. Here's Gary Varga on the roll.
Like I said earlier, very consistent performer. He usually gets about 200, 250 feet on his takeoff roll. He got off early there, which I was really happy to see, but then he set it back down.
He's got that stick full forward, pull back, and he's off short. There we go, somewhere between 125 and 150 feet for Matt Dorsum.
Yeah, he'll be happy with that one. Pretty close to his first takeoff, maybe a little bit longer, but the wind has picked up a little bit, so that crosswind component has increased. It is still very light. I would say less than 6-7 miles an hour or so, but definitely proving to change the game in as much as the distance of these takeoffs.
TJ Johnson in the Kit Fox pulling, and he's off.
Ooh, perfect.
Woo, held it right off of those.
Yeah, that airplane could not have been taken off any shorter. That was absolutely beautiful. Great job.
I think I got the name wrong. We got too many white Kit Foxes. That was Dakota Hudak. This is TJ Johnson.
Here we go.
In third place. Little more horsepower in this one.
Excellent. You'll notice that tail did bounce a few times on the ground. So that crosswind, again, I don't know how many times are we going to say it?
It's a thing. It's a real thing. Levi Nogues. Look at him. I love the Warbird paint scheme. Ready to attack.
Well, the original Storch is a Warbird. It was a liaison aircraft in World War II and after World War II even.
Much longer for Levi Nogues on this one. Previous takeoff 158.
One of them, that Storch, will be there at Oshkosh. If you want to see it up close and personal and you're at Oshkosh, 7 o'clock, ultralight field. Check it out.
Gary Varga on short final now, coming up to the line really deep into the angle of attack. Good
Nice
over the line.
job.
I was not expecting that. He is locking those brakes up.
Gary Varga showing some pretty advanced technique there in Miss America. Beautiful job.
Matt Dorsum coming in hot over the line. A lot of energy to dissipate.
Getting it under control. Good job. Good directional control. Had a lot of extra speed there, but you'll notice there's absolutely no wind right now, it feels like. So that definitely changed his approach. And that's been the story, is we're hearing from the pilots in the pits. They're telling us that they're going from a tailwind situation coming over those trees.
Here comes Dakota Hudak. Also hot over the line.
Beautiful job
Giving
there.
it a little bit of throttle to keep the tail effective, I think.
This is TJ Johnson in the Model 5. Slightly different than the first two you just now saw. A little bit bigger airplane, a little bit bigger wing. Nice job bringing it over the line, cutting that engine. That's kind of the Hal Stockman signature move.
And now Levi Nogues coming in the Storch. Currently your first place leader. That landing quite a bit, or takeoff quite a bit longer for him, but he can always make it up on the landing.
Oh, just looks such like butter. I mean, he still is dropping it in from 3-4 feet, but you know that the big squat and the big travel on those shock absorbers just really take the pain out of it for that airframe. What a great looking airplane. It's just odd. Let's see if he can improve upon that here in Miss America.
Here goes Gary Varga, getting it up to speed, yanking it back, tail just touching the grass and leaping off, and then you see he's getting that nose down, staying in ground effect to make sure he gets up to flying speed before climbing up into the sky. Matt Dorsum now currently in fourth place. Really short takeoffs, but longer landings for Matt Dorsum. That's kind of the challenge he's got to face on this next third run.
Very, very lightweight aircraft. So he's having a great time on those takeoffs.
And that may have been the best one yet for Matt Dorsum. Best takeoff previously was 130, and we definitely saw less than that for him there.
Yeah, I'm thinking maybe 10 feet. He definitely did better than that. That's a great job. He'll be happy with that takeoff. This puts him in a good position if he can get this landing. Look at the flags, Ryan. Right now, we're showing favorable conditions for this round.
Dakota Hudak in the Kit Fox 4 on the roll and off right around 125 feet.
We're so spoiled that we get to see these short takeoffs. You know, we're just casually saying 125 feet like it's not a big deal.
No, yeah, we're desensitized to it, but it is super short. I mean, obviously a different class, but think about like my Cessna 172. You know, and if I fly it normally, I'm not taking off on the entire race course, right? I need this whole runway to do a safe takeoff. So short takeoffs right now. Here goes race 58, TJ Johnson.
Nice job. TJ will be happy with that one. Just long of 125 feet. See the officials over there debating the actual measurement. And you'll notice a lot of those officials in the orange vests on the line. A lot of those are your pilots from other heats. The other classes getting in on the action. Levi
getting that tail nice and high in the Storch, and he's off. Oh, get that other main off. There we go, Levi. And Gary Varga on screen right now in 5th, doing a little slip action.
Yeah, he's got a little extra speed there. He's noticing. He's set up for a good one. His takeoff was great. So if he can get a good landing here, he might be able to improve upon his positioning. Gave up a lot there. That slip, you could tell, that's an indicator that he had too much kinetic energy and had to bleed that off with the side of his fuselage. Yeah, I hope to see him this week. I hope he's coming up to Oshkosh. Just what a character. Love hanging out with Doug. Beautiful Model 4.
Matt Dorsum.
Oh, yeah. Look at that.
Bouncing, riding it like a bucking bronco there.
What a ride. Great landing there. Great improvement. That's showing excellent progression for Gary Varga. And really all these pilots are getting better and better and better. So same for Matt Dorsum, same for Dakota. Let's see if Dakota can improve as well, and he will. That is a good one. Oh, you know, his left brake is not as good as his right brake.
Or maybe his left foot is just a lot stronger than his right one. Here we go, TJ Johnson now, low over the grass.
We're seeing some changes in the standings. Look at what happened with Matt here on his landing. Oh, fantastic job here for TJ. He also, now these pilots are getting better and better and better now. TJ's score will improve here. Let's see how it affects the standings once we get it on the board. That's such a great thing to see this happening. Now here's Levi and the Storch. Let's see if he can take advantage of this little headwind like the other pilots. And wow, TJ Johnson leading into first place.
So as we head into this second heat, that means TJ Johnson in first place with a combined score of 250. Levi Nogas only 19 feet behind him with 269. Matt Dorsum, 349. Dakota Hudak, 358. And Gary Varga in 5th with 435 feet combined.
Yeah, that is so crazy that these are the combined scores, ladies and gentlemen. You're talking TJ getting it done in only 250 feet. That's both takeoff and landing.
And let's get ready for the next heat from Dallas, Texas in race 68 in a 2014 Cub Crafters Carbon Cub. It's Nick Ardillo. So everyone, that's Nick Ardillo in that 2014 Carbon Cub, airline pilot based out of Dallas, Texas. His total flying time exceeding 15,000 hours. Next up, from Irwin, Pennsylvania, in a 2016 Cub Crafters Carbon Cub SS Race 160, Stan Shimkus. Next up, from Lindenhurst, Illinois, one of our rookies in a 2007 Cub Crafters Carbon Cub Sport Cub, Race 248. It's Kirk Miles. Fell in love with flight as a child, flying at age 17. Instructed for 4 years before joining a regional airline flying the Jetstream. And now he's flying Gulfstreams for 28 years. So another jet pilot. He's a rookie at National STOL, but certainly not a rookie in the sky. Kirk Miles. 2 more aircraft to wrap up this heat. From Linden, Tennessee, in a 2021 Just Aircraft Highlander Super STOL, Race 26, it's Christian Griwan. From Louisburg, Kansas, in a 2009 Rans S7, race number 98, it's Brandon Rice. Brandon's only been flying for 2 years. Purchased a Rans S7 from his good friend and been putting in time on that ever since. We've watched him fly in practice yesterday and did just an absolutely great job. Giving the other S7s a run for their money.
The asterisk on that is surprising but not surprising.
That's true. Here's Nick Ardillo now. Giving it the go off short.
Carbon come off in a good score. When that airplane got ready to fly, it just took off and flew.
Here comes Stan Shimkus now. Giving it the beans. Tail coming up.
Another really good takeoff. Carbon Cubs are putting on a show now.
So 94-foot takeoff for Nick Ardillo. Stan Shimkus maybe close to the 75-foot mark. Here's our rookie who's now in the sport class, Kirk Miles.
Pulled a little early, I believe. Lost a lot of momentum when he did, and I think that cost him a good 30 feet.
Stan Shimkus takeoff, actually 101 according to the judges. Oh, maybe it'll be changing on the sheet here. I'm going to leave that alone. Let's talk at Christian Grelon while he flies here. Neutral elevator, now it's going up. Yanking back, and he's off sub 150 as well.
The question of the day is that right tire touch back down? The judges don't seem to think so. They're not that interested in that. Let's see where his score comes in.
Here's Brandon Rice. And just floating it off. Maybe could get a little more aggressive with that
Maybe
pull.
so. Maybe so. That was a really nice takeoff, though.
So that is the first takeoff of your second heat of sport class. And as quickly as we've launched them, it's time to recover them now. Here's Nick Ardillo, good over the line, stick fullback in his lap, getting it stopped. Definitely sub 175.
175 for sure. He's got a score in the books, and now he can go for it.
We're going to see some more aggressive flying, I think, from Nick Ardillo. On board now with Stan Shimkus. Coming over the grass. And little burst of power to hold it off. It's going to have to be dissipated by the brakes.
Depending on when and where they have to apply that little burst of power, it can really cause them to go a little bit further down the runway because it just all of a sudden throws a little bit of energy into that airplane, and sailing it goes.
Here's Kirk Miles over the grass now on the south end of the runway here in Hartford. I do love, I mean, obviously it's no surprise. I've got a special place in my heart for Yellow Cub. Here, right on the line.
That was so close. Lexi calls it a scratch.
Yeah, Lexi says, no go, buddy. Sorry about that.
Couldn't tell from this vantage point. It was really, really close. I figured that was either going to be a perfect landing or a scratch.
Well,
we know now what the answer is.
We got a scratch. Looking at the replay there, and it is a close one, but it definitely
so
touched
close.
down
I believe
on
he
the
just
line.
touched down right on the line. Last year, I believe that would have been good. This year, with the rule change, it's a scratch.
That's right. That is a change based on our rules committee meeting. Pilots decided and voted to make that change. Here's Christian Grelon. Love that whine of that propeller as he comes in, getting it stopped a little bit over 175 feet.
This is a competitive heat we have going here.
Brandon Rice coming in now in the S7. And I'm a sucker for this plane, too, because it's red, and I am a sucker for red airplanes. Heavy
Oh,
on the
nice
brakes.
landing.
Somewhere around 125, maybe a little bit further because that right main was a little bit further down the runway for Brandon
Maybe
Rice.
131.
And now we've got Levi Nogas in the pits with the Storch.
Yeehaw and howdy y'all again from Hartford, Wisconsin for the Sodbusters STOL. I just got to do my little 3 takeoffs and landings. Didn't do the best I've ever done, but I didn't do the worst. Didn't leave any parts on the runway, and I had a lot of fun. I got to do something I haven't done ever before, and that was fly the circuit with 3 Kit Foxes. I love Kit Foxes also, but my Storch here did great, performed well. We're going to leave here. I didn't break it, so I can take it to Oshkosh next week. Hope to see y'all there. We got about 12 of us out there going to be doing a STOL demo at Oshkosh Air Show in the evening. So come on out and see us.
That's right. Thank you so much, Levi. Like we mentioned earlier, Levi will be in that STOL demo. Some other pilots from today will be making that journey with Levi. Let's take a look at the standings moving into the second run of the second heat of Sport Class. Brandon Rice now in second place with a combined score of 254. Stan Shimkus third place with 259. Nick Ardillo fourth place, 261, pushing Levi Nogas, we just heard from, down into 269. Or his 269, down into fifth place.
These Carbon Cubs are amazing airplanes, very capable. I've never flown one, but I'd like to do it sometime. Oh, there you go. Off just over 100 feet.
Nick Ardillo actually took me up in that Carbon Cub last year in Tennessee. And, yeah, you understand why they're popular aircraft after you ride in one. Here is Stan Shimkus getting it off real gracefully, maybe a little bit over 150 feet.
Here we go. Tails up. Wheels are up. Right around that 140-foot mark. Let's see what that score comes in at.
Christian Grewan on the line, giving it full throttle in that orange and purple Super STOL. Tail so high, and down. We got it off, but just tickled the grass around 200 feet. We'll see if the judges think he touched back down.
You know, I think we're sitting in a little more elevated position in the crown on the runway. It looks like they're touching down from us, but the judges have got a great view of it.
And look at
we
that for
got
Brandon
off the
Rice.
ground in a hurry. Brandon Rice did a great job with that takeoff.
Just absolutely held it off there. And, wow. Now, here's the thing. Yesterday, during practice, we interviewed Pat McIntyre, who's kind of the favorite right now between him and Joel Milloway in the sport class, although Jared Garrettson brought this new Just Summit. Pat's watching. He's watching what Brandon Rice is doing. There's Nick Ardillo down over the line, getting it stopped right around 160 feet.
Brandon Rice's takeoff was 98 feet.
Shortest so far of sport class was actually Nick Ardillo's first run with 94 feet.
But what that does is put Brandon in a position, if he can nail this landing, he can take over that top spot. He's got the opportunity to do it here.
On board now is Stan Shimkus, which is literally just his concentration face and some grass. Good over the line for Stan Shimkus. You can see him working the flaps, getting rid of them, putting all that weight on the main wheels. And he is stopped right in front of the booth. Thank you for that, Stan. And another Cub coming around the bend, base to final, Kirk Miles. All that flight experience adding up.
Nice and slow.
Oh,
I think
off.
This is going to look good. Right across the line, he puts it down, putting everything, sliding those brakes on in there, just shy of 150 feet.
And
really nice job.
I love it on the Cub crafters in particular. Everyone's flying with the door open, getting all that wind in their face. Very stable descent and approach.
Drops it in right over the line. On those brakes, right at the 175-foot mark. Not a bad landing for him. Brandon needs to come down just over that line. He needs to be really close in the right speed and the right attitude so that he can get this thing stopped and possibly take over the lead.
Gave up a little bit of footage, maybe a little over 25 feet on that landing. Could have pulled the throttle back maybe a second or two sooner.
Little earlier. May have been carrying a little more energy than he wanted to.
TJ Johnson holding first place with 250 feet.
146-foot landing for Brandon on that one.
And that's going to push him up into first place.
Look at there. He pulled it off. He did it.
By 6 feet, Brandon Rice now in first place in front of TJ Johnson. Nick Ardillo, full throttle, dropping those flaps.
And he is off in a very good takeoff. Well sub 100, I believe.
Nice deck angle on that departure for Nick Ardillo, but also nice was him getting the nose back down as soon as he could. It's not about taking off super aggressively here. Once you're off the ground,
stay in
you're
the
off
air.
the ground. Here we go. Stan Shimkus, third place. And he's off.
Another
nice and
good
short,
takeoff
too.
for him. Little over 125 feet, I believe. Trying to figure out where the judges are pointing. They're kind of looking at each other, having a conversation. Let's see where that score comes in.
Kirk Miles, meanwhile, getting ready to go. Currently in sixth place. Yanking those flaps down, getting some lift. And he's off a little bit over 150 feet.
Right at it. Good takeoff for him.
Christian Griwan in the Super STOL, high on those spindly legs. And just gracefully off the ground.
160-ish.
And
right
now,
at 160 feet. Let's see where he comes in.
currently in first place, Brandon Rice is on the line.
160 foot.
Nice eyes.
He bounced
back
He
down.
stepped back down. Had a really nice takeoff. I think he lost a little wind. The wind shifted just a little bit. I think it went from more of a crosswind to a tailwind on him, and that airplane came right back down and touched the ground.
Here's Nick Ardillo floating it in. Nice and slow, very stable, exactly what you'd think about a person with his flight experience, former Air Force, currently a captain for a major airline.
The approach looks very solid.
Good
right
over
across the
There we
line,
go.
get that thing stopped. Just over 150 feet, right at 150 feet. I'm thinking about 152 would be my guess.
Getting it down over the grass. Getting into that alpha position. Good over the line. Little burst of
Yeah, a little
throttle.
burst of powder. Definitely cost him some distance. That was right in that spot where you didn't want to do it. 152 feet for Stan.
With TJ Johnson pushed down into third. Listen to that stall warning. There we go. Kirk Miles getting it stopped. Nice. Christian Griwan coming in with the dangly legs, the little daddy long legs of STOL here in the Super STOL. Tail
Kirk
down.
Miles.
He's got to hold it off, though, and that's a scratch for Christian.
Looking real solid. Drops it in just over the lines. On the brakes hard. Coming up around 130 feet.
130 or so. And that takeoff for him last time was not his best. Spearmint STOL, something like that, from Vandergrift, Pennsylvania. In a 2020 Just Aircraft Highlander, race number 57, it's Dennis Rowe. In the 2004 Just Summit, race number 603, Jared Garrettson. And Jared is he's just basically flying whatever he can all season. We've seen him in a blue and silver Badlands Traveler. He flew Warhorse at Appalachian Mountain STOL, and now he's bringing this thing. I got to learn more about this thing, this Just Summit. I heard him talking about it in Pennsylvania. He said it really rips. So take that for whatever it means. We're going to see him fly in just a minute. Jared Garrettson, everybody. From Appleton, Tennessee, in race 219, a 2012 Cub Crafters Carbon Cub, it's Lee Boyd.
And let me just say, that is a beautiful airplane.
Next up, from Blackfoot, Idaho, in a 96 Rans S7, race number 4, Joel Milloway. This airplane's called the Tiger Shark, and I'll let you guess why in the crowd. Actually, you may not be able to guess why. The cowling's off. So if the cowling's off, you can't see the shark teeth on the front, but it looks pretty dope when it is. Everybody give it up for Joel Milloway. And last but not least, in the sport class from Lincoln, Nebraska, in a 2006 Rans S7, we're on board with him right now in race number 40, Pat McIntyre. Pat's a part-time veterinarian, part-time professional pilot, 2,000 hours of dual instruction given. And after this, folks, after this last heat of sport class, we are hopping into the unlimited. Here's Dennis Rowe. Stick forward, giving it the beans into the sky, right around that 126 point. We've seen a lot of the pilots in that 120 to 130 place for takeoffs. Jared Garrettson in the summit. Look at that little thing go right around 125 feet.
Tails up. And he's gone.
Short one for Lee
Just
Boyd.
over 100 feet, right at the 100-foot mark. Looks like they're going to mark it right around 102.
Here's Tiger Shark, piloted by Joel Milloway. Wow, you nailed that. 102 feet exactly. Here's Joel Milloway.
Expect good things out of this
Look
one. And
at
he's
that,
way
okay.
off the ground early. Look at that. Fighting to stay there in ground effect. Accelerates out. What a takeoff.
Pat McIntyre coming for him. It's going to be longer than 68.
Right around that 124-foot mark. Let's see where it comes in.
Shields Stutz in social says, good luck to Joel Milloway from Idaho. Thanks for hanging out in the chat, Shields. Folks, don't forget to vote for your favorite pilot, nationalstol.com/vote. Here's Dennis Rowe plopping it in. Get it stopped right around the 150 point. Here's Jared Garrettson in the summit. Look at that.
Look
just
at that.
dropping it in.
Nice stop for him right at 100 feet. Joel may have something to say about that. We'll see if Joel needs to put this one together for sure because he had the takeoff to take first place.
Scratch
and
for
we've
Lee
got
Boyd.
a scratch for Boyd.
Tried to save it with the power there, but couldn't quite do it. Folks, before you leave today, once things are wrapped up, go check out Lee's airplane up close. It is literally a work of art.
If he can get this across the line, I think he has a real shot at taking first place away. Maybe by a pretty good margin. Let's see what happens.
Whoa. Right
He's
over
across
the
the
line
line. There you go, ladies and gentlemen. Look at that landing. That's amazing. That tail wheel hit on one side of the line and his mains hit on the other, and the mains are what matters.
68-foot takeoff for Joel Milloway. Corey's in the
Hold
booth
your breath,
now, hanging
ladies
up
and
an
gentlemen. 85-foot landing. What an amazing performance.
So now Joel Milloway is in first. Here's Pat McIntyre plopping it in, getting it stopped pretty short as well, short of 100 feet.
Nice job. Oh, Joel's like going up steps, skipping every other one.
score sheet here. There we go. It just updated on the screen. Joel Milloway with a combined score of 153 feet. Pat McIntyre popping up into second, combined score of 222. Jared Garrettson, third place with 240 feet combined. And Brandon Rice just 4 feet off the podium. Bummer for Brandon. Here comes Lee Boyd. 3 feet shorter, by the way, for Jared Garrettson. Lee Boyd now on the line in the Carbon Cub. And that left wheel came off real nice. Right one hung out a little bit longer. We're still playing in that 125-foot range for most of the competitors. Joel Milloway currently in first place with 68 feet. 2 more runs to defend that first place. A little bit longer on that one for Joel Milloway.
Still sub 100, down around that 195 mark.
And on board now with Pat McIntyre from Lincoln, Nebraska, cheering for us there, getting a little fist bump action. Notice the flap handle on the left side of the screen there. He's going to grab it. Here he goes. Pulls it back. Pops it right off into the air. And that's a modification that most people do to those Rans S7s. The standard position is on the floor for the flap handle, and they move it up to that more, for lack of a better term, Carbon Cub placement right in front of them.
They want to leave those flaps up as long as they can, because when they put those flaps down, it induces a lot of drag and slows them down. So they can accelerate faster with those flaps up, pop them down, and away they go.
Dennis Rowe. Ooh, trying to save it. Not enough power to do it. That'll be a scratch for Dennis Rowe. Little burst of power to get him over the line.
Lexi says it's good.
Nice short landing for
108
Jared.
feet-ish, maybe 109.
I like that classic scheme on that plane, too, that tan, black, and orange.
That's a good-looking airplane.
He's making it work, too. Look at those gears expand on the replay here. Hoping to recover from that scratch. Good over the line.
Definitely across the line. On the brakes hard, sliding into a stop.
93-foot takeoff, pairing with what he will hope is a very short landing.
Oh, looking good here. Whoa, 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 whoa. Get out of the way, folks. Get out of the way. That's some piloting right there.
That was a little exciting as they push Joel Milloway out off the course. So now Joel Milloway, he's out. He's got to figure out what's going on with his aircraft. Here comes Pat McIntyre dropping it in.
Right in over the line. Very good stop for him in this sport class.
Here goes Dennis Rowe. Yanking it off.
Kept it off. That was impressive. That was a good takeoff for him.
Jared Garrettson grabbing literally every inch of the runway that he can use to angle into that crosswind.
So the rules say that he has to stay inside of that last flag so he can angle across to get as much of that wind as he can. And he's off with a pretty decent number.
Lee Boyd now in the Carbon Cub. Off into the Wild Blue yonder. Previous takeoffs, 102, 129.
And then, of course, Lee takes off, and we get a little puff of wind. So that makes a huge difference on these airplanes' performance.
Pat McIntyre now, hand ready on the flaps. Grabbing
it. Very nice. Look at that takeoff. Sub 80.
Now we're talking for Pat McIntyre. If he wants to unseat Joel Milloway, and a scratch for Dennis Rowe. Feels like he's always got something for sale. It's probably this one. Here he is, low over the grass, tail wheel touching.
Oh, and the wind falls out, and down he comes well short of the line. Coming in, Lexi's like, it's a scratch. She wasn't sure. It was pretty close. Looking at the replay, That was really close. But I believe Lexi called that one correctly. I think he just right on the line. Rerunning, taking a look at it a second time, it's really, really close.
Ooh, Pat, look at that for Pat.
Oh, there he is.
75 feet. He's in for it.
He's right there at the
What
55-foot
was that?
mark. How in the world did he pull that one off?
Look at that. Round of applause for Pat
Unbelievable.
McIntyre on that one. Here at Sodbusters 2024, we just wrapped up the sport class, and woo! That was the thing. That was incredible. But everyone, let's give a round of applause for these sport competitors here. Come on, no, don't be strangers. Don't be afraid. Come on, get in here. Great flying in the sport class here in Hartford, Wisconsin. Now, we had 3 heats. That's a lot of people flying a lot of planes. Do you guys know how it ended up? Some of you do, some of you don't. There's some smug looks on some of these faces here. Let's go. You can see all the scores online, nationalstol.com. We're going to do the top 3 right now. With a combined score of 239 feet, Jared Garrettson. And I don't know what that airplane is, but I'm going to ask him about it later. With a combined score of 153 feet, Joel Milloway. And Joel, actually, we got to ask you, things got a little sporty for a second there. Do you want to tell us how that run went?
I got on the brakes real hard, and the right brake, all the bolts holding the brake disc on sheared off completely. Every single one of them. Had no control whatsoever.
So then you're directionally moving. You got to drop the mags off.
First thing I thought was kill the mags.
There you go. Well, sometimes things break, but still into second place. Everyone give it up for Joel on the second place landing there. And in first place, with where did that come from in terms of a landing? A combined score of 133 feet. Pat McIntyre. Pat, talk to us about that last run, that last landing.
Well, I knew Joel had a really short run, and so I went for it on the takeoff, and it felt pretty short. So I knew I had to either scratch or hang it on that one, and I got lucky.
No, you got skill, right?
Yeah,
that's what it was.
Yeah, honestly, it's a great class. Humbled to get to fly with all of you.
Awesome. Everyone get up there. One heck of a performance in sport class. And now look out, here it goes. They're not getting each other at all. They're so polite. They're so polite in sport class. All right, everybody. We have one more amazing class to go. We're going to go to the unlimited class. We're going to see Steve Henry, Jason Boussat, Dan Reynolds, all fighting together. More after this.